Hello, good evening. Hello everyone, and we are going to see chemical technology in today's class. And before we start the class, help me out with two checks: my voice and the screen. Okay, just help me out with two things. One is my voice and the screen, please. Yeah, quick. We're going to have a session on chemical technology, basically our polymer industry. So let me know. Just give me two checks, whether my voice and the screen. Two checks, please. We will start the session as soon as possible. Yeah, quick. All of you, welcome to the session on chemical technology, and basically we are going to have a polymer industry in a very precise manner, and we're going to see the entire concept in terms of flow sheet. Okay, so help me out. Yeah, start. Okay, so let's start the topic of polymer industry. So basically when we deal with sorry, not polymer, I just say it is your petroleum industry. Okay, so I just try to speak about something about petroleum industry. First thing is that, okay, okay, now this petroleum industry comprises of two basic industries. Okay, we will talk about two basic industry in the sequence. First we need to talk about refinery, followed by its petrochemicals. Okay, so we just make sure that petroleum industry is divided into two parts. One is your refinery section, the one which we are going to talk today, and the other one is your petrochemicals. Okay, the other one is your petrochemicals. Okay, and all together we say just it's a polymer it's a petroleum industry. I'm quite familiar with polymer so much, no issues. So it's just a petroleum industry, basically refinery and petrochemicals. Okay, now we're going to see in terms of flow sheet how can we remember, because for the GATE exam very basic and key points have been asked from this topic. So very important key points has to be discussed in today's class. Okay, so let's start the topic about refinery first. So before we go for refinery, what do you mean by refinery? Just help me out. Okay, in your basic knowledge, in your basic terms, just help me out. What do you mean by refinery? Yeah, any one of you? What do you mean by refinery? So we are going to deal with petroleum refinery. Basically we are going to have a crude, we are going to have a raw material, and with that raw material we are going to have some multiple fractions, and on the basis of our usage we are going to have the properties defined and so on. Okay, so we're going to go in a sequence one by one. Okay, so here first, okay, voice not audible. Okay, audio not clear. Suraj, help me out. Audio, is it clear or not? Fine, now it's clear. So let's start with refinery first, and for that case first we need to make sure what is the raw material for the refinery. Okay, so one by one, just make sure when you try to write the notes, just try to make sure write in a sequence as we are discussing. Okay, so here when we talk about refinery, first we need to talk about raw material. Okay, first we need to deal with raw material. Okay, अब raw material क्या है? Let me know what is the raw material. It's a crude oil. Okay, so we just write crude. Okay, we just write crude. Okay, we just write here crude oil. Okay, now this crude oil has some basic components. We have variety of components present in the crude oil, and you need to let me know what are the components in the crude oil so that we can make fractions out of it. Okay, so help me out, what are the components available in the crude oil? Okay, Suraj, if there is a problem still persists, just let me know. If there is a problem still it is going on with the audio, just help me out. Okay, I hope everything is clear for everyone. Okay, so crude oil, just help me out. What are the components present in the crude oil? What are the components present in the crude oil? Just help me out one by one, and we're going to discuss each and every aspect of the components. Okay, so help me out. What do you know, what knowledge you have regard to components present in the crude oil? Yeah, there are so many kind in mic. Okay, okay, there is so much that voice problem. Okay, now it's clear. अभी क्लियर है क्या? अभी ठीक है? I should fix it here, I guess. Just wait. Now background noise is there still. Okay, still the background noise is persisting. Okay, now try to manage a bit. Is it okay? Fine. अभी ठीक है? ज़्यादा वॉइस तो नहीं आ रही ना, ज़्यादा साउंड का ये नहीं हो रहा है. ओके, ऑल क्लियर? अभी ठीक है? चलो, अभी आप अपने सिस्टम्स को भी चेक कर लीजिए थोड़ा से. मे बी यू कैन accordingly just make sure that system has to be make sure. Crude oil में क्या क्या components होते हैं? What are the components of the crude oil? The first component we can say it is paraffins. Okay, first we can talk about paraffins. Okay, तो पहली चीज paraffins है. Now next one, when we talk about another component, the another component being aromatics. ठीक है, the another component we talk about aromatics. ठीक है, another component we talk about naphthenes. Another component we talk about naphthenes. ठीक है, and the last but not the least, but it is not generally present, still I am going to write over here, because if still there is a presence of those compounds, we need to eliminate those compounds in our final products. Okay, so it is working. Okay, fine. So naphthenes, then followed by the olefins. Now in this case we are going to discuss about petroleum refinery, and basically we are going to start with raw material first, and that too crude oil. Okay, and the crude oil is having 4 basic components, and we just say not 4, actually it is 3 basic components. Okay, the 3 major components are present in the crude oil, and if it is there will be presence of olefins. Okay, presence of olefins is not considered to be good enough, because there is some reasons associated. So we just make sure that we are going to discuss one by one. Okay, just help me out with your clear definitions. What do you know about paraffins? Yeah, any one of you, what do you know about paraffins? Any knowledge regard to paraffins? Just help me out. What do you mean by paraffins? Yeah, what do you mean by paraffins? Paraffins are straight chain compounds. I would say straight chain saturated compounds. Okay, saturated compounds, single bonded compounds. So I just write these are single bond compounds. I would say saturated compounds. Okay, so I would say saturated compounds, and it is a straight chain. So I just try to make sure that paraffins, I'm discussing about straight chain paraffins, okay, when we represent with N paraffins, okay. So it's single bond, so generally we just write as N paraffins, okay, we just write as N paraffins, okay. And next we are talking about aromatics. Aromatics, so do you know other name for the aromatics? Any one of you? Do you know another name for the aromatics? Anyone? Aromatics का दूसरा नाम क्या है? Any one of you? If you know the basics of aromatics, just help me out. The other name for aromatics. Okay, alkanes. Basically, paraffins are alkanes, good enough. So paraffins is also known as alkanes, which are saturated compounds, I would say, in a straight chain, okay, fine. So I just write here alkanes, okay, for your case, it is alkanes, fine. So I'm going to talk about aromatics. What is the other name for the aromatics? Help me out. The other name for the aromatics will be arenes, okay. So I just write over arenes. Okay, now in order to define this aromatics, I will define in a single statement that would be cyclic, unsaturated, okay. You need to mention there will be presence of double bond, okay, pi bonds basically. So I just say here cyclic unsaturated, okay, compounds, cyclic unsaturated compounds, okay. Naphthenes, what we talk about naphthenes, okay. Naphthenes are cyclic compounds, but they are saturated, okay. So naphthenes and aromatics, just there is a slight difference. In aromatics there will be the presence of double bonds, I would just say pi bonds, okay. In case of naphthenes, we just speak about a simple simple cyclic compounds with no pi bonds. So I just say here it is cyclic saturated compounds, okay. And when we talk about naphthenes, okay. Now the basic part is olefins, okay. Still we are going to discuss about olefins. Olefins are unsaturated compounds, unsaturated chain compounds, okay, unsaturated chain compounds, okay. Generally we just speak about alkenes, okay. We just write over here alkenes which are double bond, okay. So we are going to discuss about why the olefins is not considered to be good enough in crude oil. Any one of you, if you have any knowledge about olefins, just help me out why olefins are not considered good enough to be present in the crude oil. Now if I speak about components, these three components are very important, okay. And the crude oil, due to presence of three components, we have different fractions of different properties, okay. So we just make sure that these three fractions has to be available in abundance. And whereas when we talk about olefins do not have, we do not prefer olefins in our compounds, in our end products. Why? Any one of you? What happens with the olefins? The definition is quite clear here. Unsaturated chain compounds. That means they are unsaturated. That means when they're exposed to the oxygen, I would just say when they're exposed to the inner, I would say, atmosphere, so they would be reacting and they will change the properties of those end products, okay. So I just say here they are highly reactive, okay, due to presence of double bonds, okay. The pi bonds are highly reactive, hence the olefins are not being considered good enough to be present in the end products. So olefins are either converted to paraffins or aromatics, okay. So paraffins and aromatics are generally, olefins are converted to either paraffins or aromatics, okay. We are going to discuss how it's going to carry it over, okay. So for time being, just make sure that olefins are not considered good to be present in crude, okay. Either we convert into that aromatics or paraffins, okay. So now we have discussed about the crude oil components. Now out of these components we are going to manufacture some of the basic end products, and how it is going to carry it over, what is the sequence, and everything we are going to discuss in terms of flow sheet, okay. So I would recommend you to try to draw the layout, how the refinery works, I would say how the refinery looks like and how it operates, okay, in terms of flow sheet, okay. So I'm just making sure that I'm going to draw the flow sheet for you. Okay, so first we are going to have flow sheet, and through the flow sheet we are going to discuss all the stuff, okay, related to gate point of view. Okay, so first we need to make sure that we just write here flow sheet, just write over here flow sheet. Okay, flow sheet has been written. Okay, now we have a crude oil. Okay, now we have crude oil. Now we have crude oil. Okay, and we make sure that crude oil is basically composed of hydrocarbons. Okay, hydrocarbons, that means carbon compounds basically. So generally when we talk about the petroleum industry, we deal with the compounds which are organic in nature, basically the carbon compounds. So here the carbon percentage has to be around 85% and hydrogen is around 15%. So this is a generic idea that it is a all the components are having are rich in carbon content. So I just write carbon 85% and your hydrogen is 15%. Okay, just write in the sequence how we are discussing. Okay, now after this we have the raw material we need to process. Okay, before we process we need to eliminate our impurities. Basically when we talk about crude oil, okay, we have so many impurities present. Okay, in general we need to remove the salts. Okay, in general we need to remove the salts by the process of desalting. So I'm just making sure this is carried out for desalting. The first process which is carried out in refinery is the desalting. Okay, desalting refers to removal of salts, you know it. Okay, removal of salts, that means there is a reason why we have to remove the salts. Anyone just let me know what are the possible reasons why we need to remove the salt from the crude oil. Yeah, हाँ फॉर्मूला बताऊंगा सारी चीजें मैं आपको बताऊंगा. पहले फ्लो शीट कर लेते हैं अच्छे से, हम पहले फ्लो शीट कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद आराम से वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन डीप. ओके, थ्रू द फ्लो शीट इटसेल्फ सो दैट यू कैन रिमेंबर द फ्लो शीट एंड गो फॉर द एग्जाम. Okay, fine. Desalting, what are the possible reasons why we need to make sure that salt has to be removed from the where, from the crude oil? Yeah, anyone? हमें रिमूव क्यों करना है ये बता दो बस. हमें सॉल्ट क्यों रिमूव करना है क्रूड ऑयल से? वन ऑफ द पॉसिबल रीजन इज कोरोजन. ओके, स्केल फॉर्मेशन. ओके, तो कुछ पॉसिबल रीजंस तो ये है. वी हैव टू रिमूव द सॉल्ट फॉर दोज टू रीजंस. ओके, यू नो इट. After desalting, we need to make sure it is processed through ADU. Now this is very important, and the sequence what we are going to see is actually very important on the basis of some properties. Okay, we are also going to define the properties why they are in the sequence. Okay, so the first thing is now it is followed by, now this is followed by ADU. I just write here ADU. Okay, now this ADU stands for atmospheric distillation unit. I'm not going to expand the form because we need to make sure that we are going to have a flow sheet. So I'm just letting you know that what is ADU. It is atmospheric distillation unit. Okay, fine. This atmospheric distillation unit is going to give you multiple fraction. Basically this distillation unit is known as fractionator. Can you just let me know इसको हम फ्रैक्शनेटर क्यों बोलते हैं? जस्ट हेल्प मी आउट. व्हाई दिस इज नोन एज अ फ्रैक्शनेटर? एडीयू सेक्शन को हम फ्रैक्शनेटर बोलते हैं. व्हाई? एनी पॉसिबल रीजंस? या, आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग यू गाइस, व्हाट आर द पॉसिबल रीजंस व्हाई डू वी से दैट एडीयू सेक्शन इज बेसिकली fractionator? Okay, I'm just writing here fractionator. It behaves like a fractionator, so I just write fractionator. Okay, so why it is so? Why it is named as fractionator? You know it, right? I think basic idea what do you mean by fractionator. Okay, so distillation unit is known as a fractionator when fractionator. What is the real definition of the fractionator? Any one of you? Yes, Kunal, Ashmit, Suraj, Ali, every one of you just help me out. इसको fractionator क्यों बोलते हैं? फटाफट जल्दी बताओ. जनरल फॉर्मूला. सूरज, अच्छा इनका जो मैं जनरल फॉर्मूला लिखूं, आई कुडंट सी द चैट. इनका जनरल फॉर्मूला अगर मैं बताऊं, आई एम जस्ट राइटिंग द जनरल फॉर्मूला. इनका जनरल फॉर्मूला है CnH2n+2. यू नो इट, राइट? फाइन. इसका जनरल फॉर्मूला है CnH2n-6. 2n-6. इसका नैपथिन्स और ओलेफिन्स जनरल फॉर्मूला आर सेम, which is CnH2n. Just let you know. Now I hope these are things, now things are accurate for you. Now this CnH2n+2 for paraffins. Okay, Aromatics has this formula You just make sure that consistency is there or not. Okay, naphthalene and olefins have the same formula, which is CnH2n. Okay, fine. So now I'm going to ask you why this is known as fractionator for ADU section. Okay, exactly. But one thing for sure, I need to make it very clear about fractionator is, when fractionator give rise to so many products. Okay, now what the fractions which we obtain from the ADU section, they have very close boiling points. In case the fractions are having close boiling points, the multiple fractions that we get, the multiple products we get from this distillation unit, they have very close boiling points. So that's why it is known as a fractionator. Fractionator gives you those substances, yeah, those products which have close boiling points, hence it is known as a fractionator. Okay, now we are going to see what are the products in a sequence. Okay, what are the products in a sequence, and first we need to make sure that this ADU section is going to give you so many products. Okay, okay, just I'm going to write over here in this way. Okay, what is the first product that you get? We know that in the distillation unit, the topmost product is in the form of vapors. Okay, we know that, and it is one of the lightest fractions. Okay, so what is the lightest fraction that we obtain in the refinery section? That will be light gases. Just help me out. It is light gases. So we just make sure it is light gases. Okay, सीक्वेंस में लिखिएगा जैसे हम यहाँ पे रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, वैसे ही आपको याद रखना है. ओके, सो इट इज लाइट गैसेस. ओके, एंड द सेकंड वन, जस्ट it will be light gas. After light gases, it will be naphtha. It will be naphtha. There is very important significance of naphtha. I'm just going to reveal everything. Just write it down. After naphtha, there will be kerosene. There will be kerosene. Okay, there will be kerosene. Okay, after kerosene, there will be diesel. There will be diesel. Okay, after diesel, there will be gas oils. Okay, just try to represent gas oils. Okay, after gas oils, there will be residue from that distillation unit. So I just write ADU residue, atmospheric distillation unit residue. Okay, so now these are the products that we get from the ADU section, and please do not disturb the sequence, because the sequence has a significance. Now I'm going to say what is the significance of this, you know what the sequence is. Okay, so when we talk about the sequence, we talk about, we know fractions are in sequence. We know the reason, because the lightest fraction is at the top and the denser fraction is at the bottom. Okay, we know that sequence, the reason for the sequence. There are multiple reasons also, so I'm going to ask you one by one, from top to bottom. Okay, from top to bottom, I'm just writing here in this way, from top to bottom. Okay, you need to mention everything now. You need to mention from top to bottom density. If we talk about density in terms of specific gravity, the density on terms of specific gravity, what will happen? Help me out. जब हम बात करते हैं स्पेसिफिक ग्रेविटी के टर्म्स में, तो क्या इंक्रीज होगा या डिक्रीज होगा? हेल्प मी आउट. यस, आई एम गोइंग टू रिवील. अच्छा अली, जो आपने बोला ATF, उसके बारे में डिस्कस करूंगा. जस्ट वेट. ओके, जस्ट आई एम गोइंग टू से एवरीथिंग बट वन बाय वन. ओके, सो पहले बेसिक चीजों को देख लेते हैं, उसके बाद हम जो भी एक्स्ट्रा चीजें हम यहाँ पे ऐड करने वाले हैं. ठीक है, सो हेल्प मी आउट about density, specific gravity. Okay, the specific gravity is going to increase. Okay, the specific gravity is going to increase. Why the specific gravity is going to increase? I mean density. Why density is increasing? Because number of carbon atoms are increasing. As we move from top to bottom, the number of carbon atoms are increasing. So that's why we can say number of carbon atoms are increasing. Number of carbon atoms are increasing. Just you make sure that how to remember the facts, why there is. Okay, number of carbon atoms are increasing. Okay, I would say in terms of API gravity. Okay, API gravity is another measure to form, I would say, the density. It's another form of density measurement. So when I talk about API measurement, API gravity decreases. API gravity decreases. I think there is a relation between API and specific gravity, right? So I'm going to tell about the specific gravity decreases. Okay, so there is a relation between API and density. So I just write degree API will be equals to 141.5 minus I just write here specific gravity at 60 degree Fahrenheit If I am not wrong, let me be check. It is 131.5. Okay. Now this is a relation between specific gravity and API. If that, I think I'm not very much sure about that temperature at which specific gravity is measured. So I just want to say that API gravity and specific gravity are inversely related. So when specific gravity is increasing down the group, I would say not the down the group, as we move from top to bottom. So we just say the API gravity is decreasing and specific gravity is increasing in either way. Okay. So this is what we have done so far. Okay. Now when we talk about this aspect, we are having some multiple products, because since someone has answered that there is ATF that has to be written, but I'm going to make sure that why ATF has to be written there. Okay. But before that, I just want to make sure what these fractions are known as. Help me out. Now I'm dividing these fractions into multiple into multiple categories. So I just let me know what are these multiple fractions. Now I have divided into three basic fractions. From ADU section we are getting some basic products, and these basic products are divided into some fractions. Okay. Now when we talk about this first to the top two, it is lighter fractions. So this is something about, this is lighter fractions. Okay, this is lighter fractions. Okay, I would say distillates, basically lighter distillates. Okay, light distillates. Okay, I'm just writing in terms of distillates here. So it is distillates over here. It is distillates. Okay, when I talk about kerosene and diesel, these are middle distillates. These are middle distillates. These are middle distillates. Okay. And after that, these two, gas oils, and these are heavy residue or heavy distillates. Okay, so this category goes for heavy distillates here. It is heavy distillates. Now we need to make sure make sure that everything is in sequence. This is very important. Okay. Now what we have done so far, there is some products that is coming out of I would say in ADU section. Okay, fine. Is it clear till here? Everything is clear till here? Any doubts so far? Now we are going to extend this flow sheet when we talk about another distillation unit, which is vacuum distillation unit, and we have some basic fractions over there also. But for that reason, we need to make sure what is the raw material for the next distillation unit. The basic raw material will be ADU residue. Okay, just write it down in this way. Now this ADU residue is going to be treated in VDU section. So I'm just writing here VDU section, VDU. Okay. Now this VDU is vacuum distillation unit. Now why it is vacuum distillation unit, I'm going to have a reason for it. But basically when we talk about flow sheet, just let me write all the products at a sequence, and we're going to focus on each and every product and its properties. Okay. So this is ADU, fine. Sorry, this is VDU. From VDU you are getting two products over here. From VDU you are getting two products. Basically two products in this way. You are getting two products. One is your gas oils, basically light vacuum gas oils. Light vacuum gas oils. Okay. The other one will be heavy vacuum gas oils. Heavy vacuum gas oils. Heavy vacuum gas oils. Just write in this way. Okay, fine. Now you have written this fact. Fine. Now these two gas oils are being getting from this vacuum distillation unit. After that we are going to have another water residue. This is known as vacuum residue. We are just writing as vacuum residue. Now this is what we are writing, vacuum residue. Still there is a bigger picture left. Okay, still from vacuum residue we are going to have multiple products again. Okay, so basically the vacuum residue is used for any one of you. Just let me know what is the use of vacuum residue. Still we can further process this residue into multiple fractions. What is the end product that we get from vacuum residue? राइट जो वैक्यूम रेसिड्यू को हम ट्रीट करेंगे या फिर फर्दर प्रोसेस करेंगे तो हमारा जो अल्टीमेट प्रोडक्ट क्या होने वाला है वैक्यूम रेसिड्यू से एनी वन ऑफ यू या जस्ट एनी वन ऑफ यू व्हाट इज द अल्टीमेट प्रोडक्ट फ्रॉम द वैक्यूम रेसिड्यू एनी वन you should know this because of course you're going to have an exam, so you should know the basic picture of all this stuff. Okay, vacuum residue से हमें जो end product होगा वो क्या होने वाला है? Anyone? Yes, Ramesh, Suraj. Yes. जल्दी बताओ. I'm waiting for your answer. What is the next? something will be there, right? Because from atmospheric distillation unit we are going to have this much, and from vacuum distillation we have some gas oils, and after this vacuum residue is further treated, we have further treatment. Yes, paraffin, wax, okay, that's fine, but still we need to maintain the sequence. The sequence is very important. We have a sequence, right? So we need to maintain a sequence, and for that thing this vacuum residue is treated in either three ways, basically in three ways basically. And first, when I just say in terms of coking, and other one is in terms of vis breaking, okay, and the other will be LOBS, and I'm just writing here it is lube oil base stock. Okay, now this is one of the most important product that we get from vacuum residue, that is LOBS, lube oil base stock. Okay, now this is what the flow sheet looks like for a refinery. So I'm just making a short so that you can see in a single picture. From starting from the crude oil, we have ended till lube oil base stock, which is LOBS. ठीक है, so यहाँ तक आपको याद रखना इस सीक्वेंस में. No, we have some multiple things that we need to make sure that it should be fixed here. Okay, and before that, just go through once, and we are going to have a discussion on each and every product, why it is, what are the properties and associated things along with it. Okay, fine. So here, when we talk about okay, now something is written on the screen, all the products are mentioned in the sequence. Okay, now help me out, which product is not there in the flow sheet? Okay, something is missing. Okay, some fraction is the fraction which is somehow very important in our daily life, it is missing over here. What is that missing component that you can find from this flow sheet? Any one of you? हाँ, ऐसा कौन सा मिसिंग कंपोनेंट है इस फ्लो शीट में जो आपको यहाँ पे मेंशन करना चाहिए था, राइट? समथिंग हैज टू बी मेंशन, सम प्रोडक्ट हैज टू बी मेंशन इन द फ्लो शीट. इट इज मिसिंग ओवर हियर. हाँ, हेल्प मी आउट, क्विक. समथिंग इज मिसिंग ओवर हियर. या, समथिंग इज मिसिंग. Something is missing. Any one of you? We have written all the stuff in a sequence. Just help me out. कुछ तो मिसिंग है. We have written kerosene, diesel, gas oils, residue, naphtha, light gases, and everything has been written so far. Something is missing over here. Bitumen जो सबसे important है वो बताओ यार. वो तो ठीक है. Bitumen is okay, fine. Bitumen हमें कहाँ से मिलेगा? Vacuum residue से. Okay, bitumen is a product from the vacuum residue. Okay, fine. Bitumen is the missing part. Something extra that you can say. अरे जो सबसे important है वो बताओ यार. वो बताओ. LPG मैंने बता दिया in terms of light gases. In LPG will be there in light gases. LPG will be there here. Okay, I've indirectly mentioned in terms of light gases. Anything that needs to be mentioned, because the name of the chapter itself has that product. Okay, the name of the chapter, I would say the topic is itself having a product. Yeah, that product has to be mentioned. जल्दी बताओ यार. Petrol, basically gasoline. ठीक है, तो gasoline has to be mentioned in the entire flow sheet. Now this is very important, from where the gasoline will come into picture. From where the gasoline will come? Gasoline has to be produced, because of course it's a petroleum industry, so we are going to deal with gasoline as our primary product. So help me out, from where the gasoline will be getting. Okay, from where? From which fraction we are getting the gasoline? Okay, just help me out. Yeah, from where we are going to have the gasoline. So I'm just writing the gasoline in here, so that you can make sure the gasoline has to be produced. Okay, fine. Gasoline has to be produced. Okay, बताओ अभी gasoline के लिए क्या source है? What is the source for the gasoline? Yeah, any one of you? Okay, petrol, आप सब लोग ने petrol बता दिया, bitumen बताया. Okay, we are going to have a bigger picture, but before that, from where the gasoline will come? Gasoline कहाँ से आएगा? Gasoline has to be produced, right? The most important, I would say, the most important source for the gasoline is, any one of you? The most important component of gasoline is, I'm asking questions instead. Okay, I'm asking questions instead. Fine. Gasoline does not come under middle distillates. Please remember that gasoline is not under the category of middle distillates. No, 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 no. So gasoline has to be produced from the source which is known as naphtha. Okay. So naphtha has to be written. Okay. I'm just rounding off from where this gasoline will be coming. Okay. From which source the gasoline we can obtain the gasoline from the naphtha. So I'm just writing over in this way, like this. Okay. Fine. Naphtha. And from gas oils, okay, just write in this way, from gas oils. Okay, fine. And also we know gas oils, basically it may be either vacuum gas oils or from the I would say ADU section. So wherever the gas oils is written, so gas oils give you the gasoline. Okay, so I'm just making sure whatever the gas oils are written in the flow sheet, so I'm just going to have it is for the gasoline. Okay, it is all for the gasoline. So we have primary naphtha and gas oils. Okay, so these are the two important sources for the gasoline. Now how it is being processed, that we are going to discuss. Okay, fine. Now this is done. Okay, fine. Now first and foremost thing, okay, Aditya, before kerosene. Okay, so बिफोर केरोसिन तो हम बोलते हैं गैसोलिन तो आएगा, तो गैसोलिन का सोर्स क्या है ये मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं, वो नैप्था से आएगा. ठीक है, तो नैप्था और आपको गैस ऑयल्स वो दोनों ही आपको क्या देंगे, गैसोलिन. ओके, वो किस तरह से आपको गैसोलिन देगा, किस तरह से आपको गैसोलिन मिलेगा, वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे. ठीक है, fine. So for that reason we need to make sure that some products has to be mentioned, because some products you have mentioned in the chart itself. आपने ATF के बारे में कुछ बोला था. ATF को फुल फॉर्म होता है एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल, राइट. एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल will come here. So I'm just writing ATF over here. Okay, ATF. So I'm just writing over here ATF. So these are some additional components that I'm going to add over here, so that we can make sure that this ATF comes into category of middle distillates. Now ATF and kerosene have much more close boiling points. Okay, ATF and kerosene has much more closer boiling points. That means they differ in the moisture content. Please remember the fact, kerosene and ATF, they have very close boiling points. The only difference between these two fuels are they have different moisture content. That's the only point. And these three come in the category of middle distillates. Okay, fine. So this is all about what we have discussed so far in terms of flow sheet. Now अभी बहुत ज़्यादा हमें थोड़ा ज़्यादा देखना पड़ेगा इसमें और क्या-क्या चीज़ें हैं. ठीक है, fine. Now I'm going to discuss about gasoline. How to produce gasoline from naphtha and also from gas oils. And also I need to mention that gasoline has the source from the light gases also. Okay, so light gases are also responsible to have gasoline. Okay, so I'm just making sure from light gases we are going to have gasoline. So I'm just writing in this way so that you could mention in the proper way. Okay, try to make the notes in the form that we are discussing. Okay, now this is what we have discussed for gasoline. So basically it's a petrol. Okay, fine. Now we have discussed all the forms. Now we need to speak about gasoline production. Now we are going to speak about gasoline production. Okay, the first one is your naphtha. First one we are going to talk about naphtha. Okay, let me know something about naphtha. What do you know about naphtha? What is the composition of the naphtha? Any one of you? हाँ, what do you think about naphtha? Okay, naphtha में क्या क्या चीजें होती है ये बता दो बस. What is the composition of the naphtha? What are the components present in the naphtha? That's very important, because from the naphtha itself we are going to have a gasoline. Okay, from naphtha, it is this naphtha is from the ADU section. We can see that naphtha is obtained from the ADU section. That means it is straight run naphtha. It is a fresh naphtha, or we can say virgin naphtha. Okay, we have some multiple names. Okay, so naphtha has three names right from what we get from the source, that is ADU section. So ADU section से जो naphtha आ रहा है उसको virgin naphtha या straight run naphtha बोलते हैं. So it is a fresh naphtha. Okay, so just write naphtha. Okay, so after naphtha has been categorized into two basic parts. One is your light naphtha. The other one is your heavy naphtha. Okay, by the names we can say that the number of carbons are somehow different, because in case of light the number of carbons are around C4 to C7, and greater than C7 will be in case of heavy naphtha. Okay, now light naphtha and heavy naphtha has to be processed into different units. Basically the unit process associated with light naphtha and heavy naphtha is different. How it is different? So let's see how it is different. Now light naphtha is processed, through, I just write here, it is processed to isomerization unit, and heavy naphtha is processed through, your reforming unit. Okay, generally many questions have come up from the reforming section. Many gate questions has come from the reforming. Okay, now I'm going to establish a very beautiful concept over here for the reforming. Okay, now I have asked you one question, what is naphtha composed of? naphtha में क्या होती है? Now naphtha में ऐसे क्या चीजें हैं जिससे हम gasoline बना सकते हैं? So let me know what is the composition. Yes, any one of you, what is the composition? naphtha का composition आपको बताना. naphtha का composition क्या है? We have two basic things. One is your paraffins, the other one is your naphthens. ठीक है? Paraffins and naphthens. So I just write here paraffins and naphthens. Okay, there is no aromatics. Please remember the fact, in a naphtha there is no paraffins or I would say aromatics. There is no aromatics, only paraffins and naphthens. Okay, fine. Now light naphtha is undergone isomerization process. Now we are very clear with that this light naphtha is composed of paraffins, because paraffins isomerizes to give you isoparaffins basically, right? So we are talking about the change in the structural, okay, retaining the chemical properties. So isomerization is technically the change in structure of the compound, basically straight chain into branch chain. Okay, so isomerization will give you high octane gasoline. Now what is this octane? So I'm going to discuss one by one, so just write it down. It is gasoline. Okay, so when we talk about reforming, we get aromatics there, but for that reason you just write here, for light naphtha you just write paraffins, P. Okay, and paraffins I just write for P, and this is for N. And in heavy naphtha we have both paraffins and naphthens, both. Okay, paraffins and naphthens both are there in the heavy naphtha, and for the reforming we are very much sure that these naphthens and paraffins are converted to aromatics. Okay, now this is very important. Now this has been converted to reformate. Okay, reformate, and reformate has aromatic content, high aromatic content, which is generally BTX. Okay, which is your benzene, toluene, and xylene. ये तीन चीजें रहती है रिफॉर्मेट में जब हम गैसोलिन प्रोडक्शन करते हैं. सो दीज एरोमेटिक्स इंक्रीज द ऑक्टेन वैल्यू, हेंस द क्वालिटी ऑफ गैसोलिन विल बी मच मोर गुड. ओके, सो रिफॉर्मेट from the heavy naphtha and from the isomerization unit we are going to make sure that light naphtha has to be processed. Okay, now in this way we need to make sure what is the catalyst. So catalyst is also very important. So when we talk about reforming, so I'm going to ask you, because you have gone through many gate question papers, so let me know what is the catalyst used in reforming. Quick, what is the catalyst used in reforming? Fast, जल्दी बताओ. What is the catalyst used in reforming? जल्दी बताओ. You know the fact, you have studied somewhere, right? So reforming unit, you need to make sure we get reformate, and the catalyst is, any one of you, what is the catalyst in reforming unit? जल्दी बताओ. What is the catalyst? Quick, very easy. What is the catalyst used in reforming unit? Very basic question यार, आपको आना चाहिए ये सब चीज. अच्छा, ये पूरा चीजें आपको लेआउट आपको ध्यान में रखना है, बट बिफोर दैट ये टेक्निकल चीजें आपको पता होना चाहिए. रिफॉर्मिंग में कौन सा कैटलिस्ट यूज होता है? सो बेसिकली व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द कैटलिस्ट, वी टॉक अबाउट platinum catalyst. Okay, so we talk about platinum catalyst. So I'm going to write with a different color so that you can say what sort of things are important. So platinum rhenium catalyst has to be used. Rhenium, okay, platinum rhenium catalyst. If this catalyst is used in your reforming process, that process is known as platforming process. Okay, platforming process, that means this is your platforming process. process. Okay, platforming is same as reforming, but the catalyst has to be very important. Catalyst, if there is a catalyst which is platinum based and it is platinum rhenium, so we talk about platforming process. So platforming process helps to convert those compounds which is basically naphtha into aromatics which is reformate. Okay, and these two components increasing the octane value, they are itself the gasoline components. Okay, now we need to make sure that gasoline is produced from naphtha from either ways, which is isomerization and reforming. Okay, so when we talk about isomerization, in isomerization we have a catalyst which is known as AlCl3. So I'm just going to write the catalyst over here, which is AlCl3, aluminum trichloride. Okay, so aluminum trichloride will be used as a catalyst in case of isomerization, and for the reforming we are going to have the platforming. Okay, यहाँ तक सबका क्लियर है? Alumina basically, alumina, are you sure? I'm pretty much sure about aluminum chloride. Just do check, cross check कर लीजिए एक बार. It's not alumina based, so I just say if it is alumina based, because it's not a catalyst. Alumina is not a catalyst, it's a base, and on that base we have been coating the catalyst which is AlCl3. You can just mention in that way. Okay, so AlCl3 is catalyst which is used in isomerization process. मैं दोबारा बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये काफ़ी important है. बहुत बार मुझे बोलने का ये कर रहा है क्योंकि ये इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है ये दोनों चीजें. कैटलिस्ट हैज टू बी रिमेंबर्ड फॉर एवरी प्रोसेस. ठीक है, रिफॉर्मिंग फॉर द प्लेटफॉर्मिंग, and which is catalyst this, and for isomerization for AlCl3. Okay, now this is what we are getting gasoline from naphtha. So I just write point number 1 over here. This is your point number 1. Okay, fine. Now let me discuss point number 2. The point number 2 is the another source which we are talking about, which is gas oils. Okay, now we get gas oils from ADU section and also from the VDU section. So I just write gas oils in number 2. So that is gas oils. I just write over gas oils over here. Okay, now from the gas oils we have, technically we know that we know the reactor. You know, basically you know that if gas oils are there as a source for the gasoline, we use FCC, which is fluid catalytic cracking. Okay, so basically fluidized bed catalytic cracking is used. So I'm just going to write here, it is fluidized bed in FCC unit it is treated. Okay, which is fluidized bed catalytic cracking, and the catalyst is zeolites. So you know the fact the zeolites are used over here. Zeolites are used in this FCC unit, and this FCC unit primarily produces your gasoline. So main our product is our gasoline. So basically I just write your gasoline again. Okay, I just write your gasoline again in this way. Okay, the primary, I would say the primary product from the gas oils is gasoline, and it is in the FCC unit. Okay, FCC unit comprises of zeolites catalyst. Okay, so from there we are going to get the gasoline. Okay, now this is a clear picture that from what are the sources of gasoline. Okay, one is the gas oils, which is very important, and naphtha, of course. Okay, so when we talk about the third one, I think there is a third one. I think gas are light gases. Okay, so from light gases, if there is a presence of olefins, I have already stated crude oil में अगर olefins होता है तो olefins को हम either paraffins में convert करते हैं या फिर aromatics में convert करते हैं. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए हमें अगर हमें olefins पाया जाता है, मतलब अगर olefins है भी, right, so olefins को हम convert करेंगे into gasoline. How? By the process of alkylation. So basically when we talk about light gases, we talk about alkylation process. We talk about alkylation process, the further processing basically. So further processing में आपको क्या मिलेगा? Further processing में आपको क्या मिलेगा? Alkylation process से through हम processing करते हैं. Alkylation process. Can you let me know what is the catalyst used in alkylation process? I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I'm just asking you. Let me know what is the catalyst used in alkylation process. मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा हूँ, so तब तक मैं यहाँ पे मेंशन कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, alkylation process में कौन सा catalyst है? Okay, so alkylation process generally involves the reaction of olefins and isoparaffins. This is a generic reaction that is carried over in alkylation process, and we have a catalyst for it. वी हैड अ कैटलिस्ट फॉर इट। ZSM5, हाँ रामू आप जिसने बताया था, जियोलाइट्स आर aluminosiलिकेट्स, जनरली इट इज नोटेड, इट हैज अ ब्रांड नेम एज ZSM5, so you have somewhere read in the gate papers. So of course zeolites are under this brand name, okay, zeolites. So just try to remember the zeolites, okay. So olefins and isoparaffins come under the category of alkalines or alkylation basically. So with this reaction we get higher isoparaffins, okay, we get higher isoparaffins, higher isoparaffins, we get higher isoparaffins, and these higher isoparaffins are having the high octane value, hence the octane number of the gasoline is going to increase. That means from the light gases, if there is presence of olefins and the isoparaffins from the isomerization unit, so we can make sure from isomerization unit we are getting isoparaffins, okay. These paraffins are converted to isoparaffins, and these isoparaffins are used in alkylation process. आपको आया समझ में? alkylation process के लिए हमें दो चीजें चाहिए, olefins और isoparaffins, और isoparaffins आपको मिलने वाला है कहां से? आपको isomerization unit से, ठीक है। तो isoparaffins olefins का reaction करेंगे, we get higher isoparaffins, and these higher paraffins are generally the, we can say, gasoline, okay. यहाँ पे जो catalyst है we use H2SO4 या फिर HF. Just write it down for the alkylation process, we just write HF या फिर H2SO4, HF या फिर H2SO4. Just try to mention the facts, very important, because catalyst for every process is very important, right from reforming and we can say isomerization, FCC and your alkylation. So I have written the catalyst name in green color so that you can remember, okay, fine. H2SO4 एंड HF हाइड्रोजन फ्लोराइड भी यूज कर सकते हैं, दोनों में से एक फॉर द एल्काइलेशन प्रोसेस, ठीक है। तो यहां पे आपको समझ में ये आ रहा है, फॉर द गैसोलिन, to have the gasoline, you know, to have petrol, we have to make sure that aromatic content has to be more. The next point is it should be rich in higher isoparaffins. Isoparaffins and aromatics will give you high octane value, which will increase the quality of the petrol, okay. So basically when we talk about the products, we can see that in this, just let's say we talk about reforming process. In reforming process we are getting aromatics, okay. Just write the end products, that's also very important. So when we talk about reformate, we talk about aromatics, okay. So this is very important. Now another one is higher isoparaffin, this is very important. And also when we talk about this gasoline, this is also rich in isoparaffins. And when we talk about isomerization, we get isoparaffins, Now when we talk about gasoline, that means if it is rich in isoparaffins or aromatics, we can say that the quality of that gasoline is good, okay. So for that reason, I'm just summarizing the fact. If octane value, what is the octane value? I just try to mention. Octane value of gasoline is more. Octane value is more. That means it is rich in aromatic content. Okay. And there is some specification, there is a specification, there is a limit, because if you increase aromatic content beyond the limits, if we use the aromatic content beyond our limits, it may cause pollution, right? So we make sure that aromatic has to be some under specifications. So aromatic content has to be more in general way, and the other one is the isoparaffins content has to be more, okay. Isoparaffins का भी ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, isoparaffins भी ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए. So now these two factors are governing that what quality of petrol that we are going to get, okay. So that's what we talk about petrol, ठीक है. So petrol, that means gasoline. So gasoline का जो sources है वो थोड़ा important है, वो आप इस तरह से याद कीजिएगा, ठीक है. So you need to remember in this format, okay. Fine. Basically we get BTX, which is benzene, xylene and toluene. I hope you know the formula because you have read the organic chemistry. Still, if you make sure that I could write, then I'm going to write for you. It is basically benzene. So benzene is nothing but it is a simple structure in this way. Xylene is nothing but I just say with two methyl groups on the benzene. so I'm just writing as methyl groups 2, and for the toluene we have one methyl group on the benzene. Okay, try to remember the facts in entire way. From starting from crude oil, we have been discussing all about gasoline. Okay, and gasoline property can be enhanced by increasing the aromatic content and also the isoparaffin content. Okay, fine. यहां तक सबका क्लियर है? ये बता दो, यहां तक सबका क्लियर है? क्विक, यहां तक सबका क्लियर है? इफ यू आर टेकिंग द screenshots, just help me out, okay, so that I will wait for you. If you're taking the screenshots, just try to remind me before I erase the entire stuff. Just let me know, okay? Fine. Okay, fine. This is all about what we have discussed. Okay, something is left, right? We are going to talk about properties of some fuels. So we are going to discuss some fuels on the basic properties. Okay, now for that thing, yes, done. Okay, अभी हम discuss करेंगे कुछ properties regard to some fuels. जैसे हम अभी gasoline के बारे में discuss किए, we have talked about gasoline. Okay, gasoline का property कैसे enhance कर सकते हैं अगर उसमें aromatic content ज़्यादा है, and also isoparaffinic content ज़्यादा है, right? So we talk in that terms. So basically, when we talk about gasoline, kerosene, diesel, these are the three primary, the daily use products. Okay, we are going to discuss how to enhance the property of those fuels. So let's discuss about the same. Okay, now first I'm going to discuss about fuels. Okay, first I'm going to discuss about fuels. Okay. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to discuss is about diesel. Okay, about diesel. For diesel, it is just opposite of that petrol. Okay, diesel is just the opposite of petrol. In case of petrol, aromatic content ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. In case of petrol, I mean say gasoline, we have to make sure that aromatic content has to be more. When we talk about the diesel, the paraffinic content has to be more. Okay, so when we talk about the diesel, we talk about the paraffinic content has to be more. So it is very important, if it is rich in paraffinic content, if the fuel is rich in paraffinic content, that will be corresponding to diesel. The diesel quality will be much more good. Okay, to make sure the paraffinic content is more, we have something to justify, which is your aniline point. Okay, which is your aniline point. Now I'm going to discuss all the stuff in the later section. Okay, we have a marathon session in the upcoming days. अब अपकमिंग डेज में पूरा रिसर्च करेंगे कि इसमें क्या क्या चीज़ है. ओके, एंड फॉर टाइम बीइंग इन दिस क्लास आई हैव जस्ट मेंशन कि हम फ्लो शीट को कैसे याद कर सकते हैं. हाउ टू रिमेंबर द फ्लो शीट. नाउ फ्लो शीट हैज टू बी रिमेंबर्ड इन अ सीक्वेंस. व्हाट द सीक्वेंस इज एंड व्हाई द सीक्वेंस इज यू ऑलरेडी नो, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली वी नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट एवरीथिंग हैज टू बी रिमेंबर्ड. ओके, फाइन. तो ये हो गया आपका. चलो, अच्छी बात है. फाइन. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट. ओके, नाउ मैंने बस बता दिया डीजल के बारे में और पेट्रोल के बारे में, उनका प्रॉपर्टीज को कैसे एनहांस कर सकते हैं. व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स शुड बी प्रेजेंट इन आइदर डीजल एंड पेट्रोल. सो वी हैव टू बेसिक डिफरेंसेस. इफ इट इज रिच इन योर ओलिफिन्स, if it is rich in your isoparaffins or aromatics, then I would say that it's a good petrol. Okay, if it is rich in paraffinic content, then I will talk about good diesel. Okay, so we have some further specifications with regard to fuels. Okay, and for today's class I'm just halting over here. मैं यहाँ तक रुक जाता हूँ. इसको अच्छे से रिवाइज कीजिए. Hopefully in tomorrow's class we will come with some additional information regard to petroleum industry, because since we have been discussing only about refinery, there is still more to discuss about what we can say. It is your refinery, and the other one is, I'll just make sure, दूसरा क्या है आपका पेट्रोकेमिकल्स. हाँ, पेट्रोकेमिकल्स के बारे में भी देखेंगे, बट पेट्रोकेमिकल्स इज वेरी इजी टॉपिक. पेट्रोकेमिकल्स में आपको कैटलिस्ट, रिएक्शंस, आपको ये सब याद रखना पड़ेगा. बेसिकली व्हाट कैटलिस्ट इज यूज, व्हाट आर द रिएक्टेंट्स, व्हाट आर द प्रोडक्ट्स, वो सारी चीजें आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा. दैट इज बाय डिफॉल्ट. वो कैसे याद रखना है वो मैं आपको कल बताने वाला. हाउ टू रिमेंबर द फैक्ट्स रिगार्ड टू कैटलिस्ट, products and your reactants I'm going to discuss tomorrow. But this is very important. Flow sheet is very important for the industry, for basically the petroleum industry. So the sequence is very important. So if there is another further information that needs to be discussed, because lot many information is there, because we have still needs to discuss about LOBS, lube oil base stock, how we need to produce the lube oil base stock. So that's very important to know. Okay, there are many solvents that we are going to use to make sure that we get lube oil from the vacuum residue. Okay, and also the process which we say about coking. Okay, and we speak about whisk breaking. So many specifications can be discussed in that way. Okay, यहाँ तक सीटी का मैराथन जल्दी होने वाला है. मैराथन सेशन में काफी इसको मैराथन सेशन में फ्लो शीट तो बनाएंगे, दैट्स ओके. फ्लो शीट विल बी देयर, सो देयर विल बी रिविजन फॉर यू, बट in that flow sheet we are going more deep. Okay, we have a good marathon series, so we are going to have a more deep concepts over there. Okay, for time being इतना information आप याद कर लो, that's what I mean. Information इतना याद कर लो, आपका tension almost, I mean, with regard to this topic, which is your petroleum industry, your 60% petroleum industry is done with this flow sheet. Okay, if you remember these facts, then you can easily go for the exams. Okay, fine. Anything more? Okay, thank you for your time. That's really great. Okay, fine. So for tomorrow's class, we are having a discussion on reactants, catalysts, and products. Okay, so we are going to brush up all the things, and if time permits, we are going to have a good session tomorrow. Okay, so we are going to have some more discussion, because अभी और भी discussion करना बाकी है. Octane number, cetane number, काफी सारा information देना है. So I'm going to discuss each and everything by tomorrow. Okay, so thank you so much for your time and enjoy the sessions. Okay, thank you.